I would like to take a moment to look at some problems that are a little bit more complicated. Problem number 16, 17. Not only do we have the inequality symbol, but we also have stuff outside the inequality. So we're going to take a look at what happens when you don't just have the inequality. In number 16, we have 2 times the absolute value of 3k minus 7 plus 11. Now this absolute value bracket also acts as a parenthesis. So it is grouping the 3k minus 7 together. And what we really want to do is we need to undo everything to get that k by itself, to get it isolated. Now, to do that, I'm going to start by getting rid of this positive 11. What's the opposite of adding 11? Subtracting 11. So we get 2 times the absolute value of 3k minus 7 is equal to, well, 19 minus 11 is 8. So then, what's the opposite of multiplying by 2? Dividing by 2. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. And so we get the absolute value of 3k minus 7 is equal to 4. From here, we have to then break this problem apart into our positive world and negative land. So we have 3k minus 7 is equal to 4. And we also have 3k minus 7 is equal to negative 4. And so then we just treat these as normal solving a linear equation problem. Plus 7, plus 7. So we get 3k is equal to 11. Add 7, add 7. So you get 3k is equal to 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3. And you get k is equal to 11 thirds. And I would just keep it as an improper fraction. And then I divide by 3, divide by 3, and I get k is equal to 1. So essentially, it's the same thing from here down, and just we need to get things by itself, or get the term inside the absolute value by itself before we can do what we learned today. So then, when it's an inequality, we have the same basic idea. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, that's a positive 5, so let's subtract 5. Subtract 5. And so I have a negative 4 times the absolute value of 2 minus 3t is greater than, and that would be 16. Well, so what's the opposite of multiplying by negative 4? Dividing by negative 4. And so you get the absolute value of 2 minus 3t is greater, oh, wait a second, time out, we divided by a negative. And when you divide by a negative, you get an eraser that's ridiculously too big. Now, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. And so if 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4, so we have the absolute value of 2 minus 3t is less than negative 4. So at this point, we have the absolute value piece separate, and so now we go into our positive world and negative land. In positive world, we have 2 minus 3t is less than negative 4, and over here we have 2 minus 3t is greater than positive 4. Remember, negative land, we're taking the opposite of what is already there. So then, the opposite of adding 2 is subtracting 2. And that 2 is positive, so we get negative 3t is less than negative 6. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. And so we have t is less than, well, negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. And over here, same basic idea. Subtract 2, subtract 2, so we get negative 3t is greater than 2. Divide by negative 3. Oh, shoot. Divide by negative 3. What's the mistake I made? Do you see the mistake I made? Look a little closer. I divided by negative. Did I flip the sign? I did not. So we have to be very careful that when we divide by negative, the sign is going to flip. So I divided by negative 3 here, so again, the sign is going to flip. So we get t is less than negative 2/3. And then from here you can graph it just like you would graph anything else. And there you have two examples of absolute value linear sentence, or absolute value sentences that need to be solved, one with an equals, one with an inequality.